Welcome back everyone to week 6 of the VTuber Pokémon League. Today's match is between Mirabelle and Karin, currently sitting at 2nd and 3rd place on the leaderboard. At this point in the season, these two have proven to be players who learn the fastest, I think, and prepare the most thoroughly from week to week. Both have shown steady improvement, and this matchup is a great example of how far they've come. Let's take a look at the teams. Mirabelle's roster features Great Tusk, Rotom Wash, Corviknight, Meowscarada, Mienshao and Entei. It's a very flexible team focused on momentum and control. Rotom Wash and Corviknight form her usual defensive backbone with Volt Switch and U-turn to pivot around threats, while Great Tusk manages hazard control. Offensively, Meowscarada and Mienshao provide immediate pressure and priority options, and Entei rounds things out as a strong physical attacker. On the other side, Karin's team brings Frostlass, Kingambit, Milotic, Volcarona, Dragapult and Hawlucha. This lineup leans into fast pressure and setup potential. I think this is the first match where Karin doesn't have a Klefki. Frostlass is the dedicated lead in this case, because Frostlass can set up early spikes and has disruption like Taunt. Dragapult is the fastest one on the field, while Milotic, like always, is Karin's very sturdy defensive pivot. Kingambit and Volcarona serve as dual win conditions, one physical, one special, and Hawlucha acts as a late game sweeper. There are a few important interactions to keep an eye out this time, I think. Once we have the Hazard War, because Frostlass will try to get up spikes early, and with Great Tusk being Mirabelle's hazard removal, Frostlass threatens Great Tusk with its Ice type moves, and as long as Frostlass is on the field, Mirabelle isn't able to use Rapid Spin because of Frostlass's Ghost type. I think whoever controls Hazard controls the tempo. Also, as long as Rotom stays healthy, Volcarona can set up freely, but if it's forced to tank too many hits, Mirabelle doesn't have that luxury. I think Corviknight has to do the most here. It has to pivot, check physical attackers, and if it has to take hits from Kingambit or Hawlucha, I don't know how long it will last, even if it's very physically defensive. Meowscarada's protein type changes are also very important, because these often signal what she predicts, and if Karin watches these closely, she might be able to counter-predict something. But in the end, we see that both teams heavily rely on their sweepers. If Mirabelle preserves Meowscarada and Karin keeps Kingambit in the back, the late game could come down to a single exchange of these two Pokemon. Both of these trainers have shown tremendous growth, like I said. So far, they are the ones adapting the fastest and refining their team builds every week. No matter who takes the win today, this match is a perfect showcase of how long preparation can go. So let's jump in and see how it plays out. Mirabelle leads very offensively with Meowscarada, and Karin does the safe lead with Frostlass here. We don't see a knockoff or something. We see U-turn from Meowscarada, so Mirabelle wants to get out of there as fast as possible. Karin goes for the safe route, setting up spikes. Doesn't stay in Rotom because maybe she didn't want to get Thunder Waved on Frostlass. However, she switches into Dragapult, and a paralyzed Dragapult is not optimal, since paralysis lowers your speed, and with that, Dragapult is not the fastest Pokemon on the field anymore. Shadow Ball does okay damage. This is definitely a very special defensive Rotom. It has a slow pivot in Volt Switch. Mirabelle switches into Meowscarada, and here we see the first instance of spike damage. Spikes do so much damage, it's definitely the better entry hazard in Gen 9. And if this keeps happening, Meowscarada, which is very frail, is in danger. Meowscarada threatens out Dragapult, Triple Axel, probably doesn't do much to Milotic here. 30% is okay damage. Being an ice type, Mirabelle could have stayed in. She doesn't want to. Here comes the Scald. Rotom doesn't mind being burned. Do we see the Pain Split, which doesn't do much at this point? Now the Pain Split would be very good. Thunder Wave doesn't connect because Milotic is already statused with the burn. But this is still an opportunity to click Pain Split for Mirabelle. We see the Ice Beam and the Freeze, which is very unfortunate. That means that Rotom can't really do anything here, and this is probably a safe setup for Karin. She goes into Dragapult, which is special, so Dragon Dance doesn't really do much other than increasing its speed, and with it being paralyzed, that's not very beneficial. Do we see Pain Split? We see Pain Split. Rotom is back at 61%, which is good. We see Volt Switch into Milotic, which is also very good for Mirabelle, and she has to switch Meowscarada into Spikes for the second time and is at 76% HP now. This is a safe Flower Trick for her. She goes for the Flower Trick, killing Milotic, and that's one Mon on Karin's side down. However, she does get a free switch in now, goes into Dragapult, and I think she used Dragapult as a fodder here to scout if Mirabelle would use Flower Trick again. So now we know that Meowscarada is choiced in a way, and it's either Choice Scarfed or Choice Bandit. Hawlucha comes out, which is a very safe play because it resists Flower Trick. That's again a free setup for Karin. She goes for the offensive move for the close combat. Has the White Herb, which is a strong strat. So Hawlucha has the ability Unburden, and once it uses its item or loses it, its speed gets doubled as long as it stays on the field. So Hawlucha is at double speed now, and with the White Herb, the defensive drops from close combat got lifted. Also, Acrobatics is a move that doubles in power when the Pokemon doesn't have an item. However, Corviknight is very defensive here, has the Rocky Helmet, so Hawlucha does damage to itself, and the Brave Bird is enough to kill the very frail Hawlucha, leaving Corviknight at 41%. Corviknight can roost here with the spikes. Maybe Corviknight has Defog, which would be optimal here since Mirabelle can't use Rapid Spin in this case. We see Taunt. Oh, Karin playing this really strong, predicting the Defog probably. We see slow pivoting from Mirabelle, U-turn into Entei. Entei takes damage. We see Destiny Bond, Stone Edge connecting, and that's a dead Entei. That was very well played from Karin. So Karin knew that Entei is a threat to her team. We see Volcarona and King Gambit left on her team, and Entei is very strong into both of them, so she baited Mirabelle into killing Frostless and taking it down with Destiny Bond. The way Destiny Bond works is if the Pokemon using it faints, it takes down the Pokemon with it that used the attack to feint it. So in this case, Stone Edge killed Frostless and Destiny Bond killed Entei in return. Mienshao vs Volcarona is the new matchup, and unfortunately, from what I see, Mirabelle wants to hit the Stone Edge here or go for a safer move and kill with Sucker Punch from Meowscarada. Maybe Mienshao has a Choice Scarf here, I don't know about that. Stone Edge misses, that's a free setup for Karin. Yeah, we see Quiver Dance, and Mienshao can still be faster with the Choice Scarf. It isn't. We see Fiery Dance boosting Volcarona's special attack, and I think that's game. Choice Banded Sucker Punch doesn't do enough to kill Volcarona at this point. Yeah, Volcarona's at 27% of HP, and what we see here is Karin's game plan unfolding. So Karin did plan this. She laid out 2 layers of spikes, killed every threat to Volcarona, and then set up. This is beautifully played. Rotom switches in, but with 61% and +2 special attack from Volcarona, it's not able to live the Giga Drain. Fire Dance is enough to kill Corviknight here. And Great Tusk is slower than Volcarona. We see the last Giga Drain. And with that, Karin won this very clutch match. That was an extremely well played match from both sides, but Karin really played this one by the book. The way she prepared the field, setting hazards, managing switches, and opening the path for Volcarona was textbook execution. Every turn built toward that endgame. And even beyond that, Karin still had King Gambit in the back as a backup win condition, which shows how carefully she preserved her resources. Once Volcarona got its setup window, everything lined up exactly as planned. On Mirabelle's side, the situation became difficult once Entei went down. That was her most reliable answer to Volcarona, and losing it really limited her defensive options. When she went for Stone Edge, it was the absolute best move on paper, because it's obviously the coverage move you bring for Volcarona, and clicking it made perfect sense here. But in combination with Entei already gone and Sucker Punch not being able to one-shot Volcarona, the missed Stone Edge and the lost Entei together were what ultimately sealed the game. The ideal adaptation would have been to recognize that and go for another move, but that kind of adjustment is something that comes A with experience and B with knowledge and confidence under pressure. Overall though, both players demonstrated strong preparation and game awareness. For Karin, this was a clean, well-structured win built entirely on setting up the field for Volcarona and having King Gambit in the back. That wraps up this battle between Mirabelle and Karin here in week 6. With this win, Karin keeps her win streak going, while Mirabelle will surely take this one as a valuable lesson moving forward. Both of them continue to show why they are among the strongest players in the league right now, and I hope that we can continue to see good matches like these. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a blast watching this match, not gonna lie. Stay tuned because the next matches are right around the corner, and see you then.